All right, we're back, and delighted to have with us our good buddy Bryan Platt. He heads up Jackson County Right to Life, and I just love this man and his passion. And first of all, you have your picket today.
We do. This is our monthly, what we call an info picket.
Yep.
And the purpose is to go down in front of Planned Parenthood down on the corner of 8th and Central.
Medford.
In Medford. Mm-hmm. And we do it from noon to 1 o'clock.
Yep.
And the idea is to keep pounding the issue of defunding of Planned Parenthood.
Yes.
Why does Planned Parenthood get $500 million a year of our tax money, and they're the #1 abortion provider in the United States? Why is that? Why do we continue to send our tax money to them?
And I want to say to our viewers and listeners, you're welcome to be there. For those of you in Southern Oregon, you can come for the whole hour. You can come for portions of it. They have the signs. Let's keep the heat on. All right, give us an update on the sign the petition.
Okay, so for those who maybe missed this announcement here a few weeks ago, Jeff Jimerson has decided to go ahead and, promote the stop the taxpayer funding of abortions in Oregon. Now, this is specifically a constitutional amendment for the state of Oregon. Mm-hmm. As it stands right now, in the last 12 years, the statistic that Jeff found from the health authorities in Oregon was that $20.1 million taxpayer dollars has been spent specifically to provide abortions in Oregon over the last 12 years. The result of that $20 million was 45,000 abortions performed. And this is with yours and mine's tax money. We have nothing that we can say about it. This is our opportunity. We put it in the Constitution so that the legislature can't mess with it. And we stop at least 3,000 babies from being killed in the state of Oregon every year.
All right, so where is that petition drive?
So what's happened is the initial drive that we began a few weeks ago, the purpose of that was to provide the Secretary of State with what they call sponsorship signatures. In other words, the process is they want to know that there's a sense in the public for promoting this or for going ahead with this as an initiative petition. So that process is continuing. We're almost there. He's getting ready to take that first 1,000 to the Secretary of State. At that point, it goes to the Attorney General's office for the issuance of a ballot title. And we know how they try to manipulate the title to make it confusing. Maybe a yes means no, or things like that.
Let them do it. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
We'll straighten it out.
And we have two previous efforts to kind of work this through. Yeah. But the bottom line to all that is hang on to your hats because it's going to go through. It may be March before we actually have petition sheets in our hands. But at that point in time, we're going to need everybody to jump on board. We're going to work this thing through. We have to get this 117,000 valid signatures into the Secretary of State by about the first week of July.
Okay.
So it'll be a blast in the spring.
We're going to do it. If I have to come and hold your hand, and Pastor, if let me just say this, if you have problems speaking on these issues, this one and others, I'll be glad to come and speak for you.
Appreciate that. You may be a busy guy.
No, I've done that in the past. I mean, I respect some pastors just can't do it or don't want to do it or whatever the pressures may be. That's fine. That's up to you guys. But you can use me.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, you're on.
All right. So now the 11th video came out. I only saw bits and pieces of it. I think we have a 1-minute clip. Let me just say to our viewers and listeners, there's nothing graphic on the video, but what they're talking about, the content of the video, can be offensive, can be a little graphic. If you have young ones around, you may want to scoot them away, but set this up for us.
Well, okay, so this is the 11th video. This is at a convention. Dave DeLayden was at a convention, abortion providers type of a convention, and he kind of pigeonholed these two women from Austin, Texas, who are at a Planned Parenthood clinic there. The one that's on the right is the actual abortionist, and they began a discussion just about, he's presenting himself as a tissue procurer, okay, someone that goes into the Planned Parenthood facility right after the abortion is performed, looks over the tray of what they refer to as specimens, which we know are the dismembered parts of babies' bodies. And what he's looking for is some kind of information from them on how many specimens will be available in a given time. Can they preserve the pricey pieces of the baby's bodies? This was done, of course, before Planned Parenthood declared that they weren't going to charge anymore for the fetal body parts. So they're looking for livers, they're looking for hearts. But most interesting was the part where they talk about looking for intact brains. So let's watch this clip.
And so of those two 20-week cases last week, for example,
Yeah.
what was the intactness of the specimen like?
It was trunk intact.
Trunk intact.
So usually what I do is if it's a breech presentation, I'll remove the extremities first, the lower extremities, and then go for the spine and sort of bring it down that way.
Right.
And then,
You said if that's a breech presentation, or if that's a...
if it's a breech presentation, yeah. And if it's cephalic, I'll try and get the cal first. But if I'm struggling getting the cal, and usually it's a function of how good my dilation is.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Oftentimes it's hard to get around the cal, especially the 20-weekers are a lot harder versus the 18-weekers. And so at that point, I'll switch to breech.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to do that yet.
To get the calvarium?
Intact.
It's like, maybe next time.
I know, right? Well, this will give me something to strive for.
Exactly.
So the calvarium's the baby's head. So when they do an abortion, they insert this laminaria, which dilates the cervix. I mean, the body's saying, we're not ready to deliver yet, so we're not dilating. But the abortionist says, yes, you are, and we're going to make you. And so they put this laminarium in, which dilates the cervix. The trouble is, in a natural birth, I think 10 centimeters is the goal before they deliver the baby. And these abortionists are doing these abortions at 3 or 4 centimeters. So it's less than half of the size of the opening that they need for a baby to, realistically to survive. So here they are laughing about the fact that they can't get an intact cal or calvarium because the dilation isn't adequate to allow the passage of the head through the birth canal without destroying it. But David DeLayden, he's saying, as a procurer, we want that intact brain. So that head is the largest part. Of course, in previous videos, we've seen them say, we have to crunch things down, to make it come out easier. This is so grotesque. And these are lovely women, just sitting there. It just shows you the depravity of the nature of man, that they can sit there and laugh and make light of the fact that they're trying to figure out a way that they can get an intact calvarium in an abortion.
So they're turning the baby to be born breech.
Okay, correct, which, thank you for bringing that up. So, a couple of years ago, well, it's been more than that, we passed a federal law that prohibited what's referred to as a partial birth abortion, in which the baby, naturally the baby is head down. So the abortionist goes in, rotates the baby's entire body so that it's being delivered feet first. And then, of course, in a partial birth abortion, before the head clears the birth canal, he takes the scissors, punctures the head, vacuums out the brain, crushes the head, and pulls it out. And again, it's because the cervix hasn't been dilated adequately to bring the head out intact. But that was banned. I mean, that's federally banned. She's admitting that what she's manipulating the abortion, and again, the goal is to get specimens. And why is that? It's for the money, Perry. It's for the money.
Even though Planned Parenthood said they wouldn't be selling specimens for profit, which is nothing more than a subterfuge, because there's been no follow-through on that we know of.
At this point.
It's all just rhetoric. I can't help but think God's pretty upset with this.
Perry, I was reading the internet last night, and a guy was doing a comment on Isaiah, and of course Isaiah is it's a pretty tough book to read anyhow, but if you guys want to look this up, this is chapter 59 in Isaiah, and in earlier in the chapter he says, justice is far from us, nor does righteousness overtake us. But in verses 15 and 16 Isaiah says, so truth fails, he who departs from evil makes himself a prey. Then the Lord saw it, and it displeased him that there was no justice. He wondered that there was no man, and wondered that there was no intercessor. The words displeased, the word displeased means broken or shattered. God's spirit was shattered because he saw no one to intercede for these people, or for that time for the people, and wondered. The word wonder is astonished and amazed. So here you have God looking at his creation, and he's broken and shattered and amazed and astonished that no one will stand for justice. And if there's one word, that describes abortion, it's injustice. Mm-hmm. It has to be injustice. Mm-hmm. The most innocent of all human life, and there's absolutely nothing that they can do to intercede for themselves. It's only those of us who understand what's really happening in an abortion process, the taking of a life of an absolutely innocent human being. We have got to stand in the gap. That's why we're down there at those pickets.
All right. I don't know what else we need in the way of proof. I really believe these videos are God-given gifts for the church to reinsert itself into this issue. And if we abandon this and become purveyors of what's happening right here, of crushing God's spirit because we're not involved, then we deserve the judgment that follows. But in front of us now is an opportunity to stop this injustice. And I think it's the #1 thing in the country today. We got a lot of issues. We don't get this one right. Everything else is just nonsense. Will you see any movement in Congress? A lot of talk, even some hearings. Is anything going to come?
Yeah, I've been disappointed in the hearings. I think you and I have talked about that before. You know, they've been disappointing. Some of it, I think, was lack of preparation on the part of those that were promoting the hearings to begin with. For some reason, in spite of their apparent fervor and when they're in front of a microphone, when they got to these hearings, it seemed like they were terribly unprepared. Now, the House has passed a Planned Parenthood defunding bill twice in the last year or so. Okay, so I mean, they've actually done that. The trouble is in the Senate, the way the procedures are, they need a 60-vote majority to make it filibuster proof, and they haven't been able to get there. Now, the House has passed a defund Planned Parenthood bill for the 3rd time. You would be smarter about this than me. It's a reconciliation bill, apparently, that happens once a year.
Right.
But the difference between it and the previous is that a reconciliation bill in the Senate doesn't require 60 votes to be filibuster proof. It only requires a simple majority of 51.
If McConnell will let it go forward.
Which my understanding is he has said that sometime in November he's going to let it go forward. And so now we have 53 or 56 Republicans. Not that this is necessarily a partisan issue, but it tends to break down that way.
Yeah.
We have a couple of wishy-washy ones, okay?
On the R side.
On the R side.
And you have some pro-lifers on the
D side.
On the D side.
Right. So, you know, I say put it on Obama's desk and make him justify what we just listened to, what we've seen through 11 videos, what darkness has now been exposed to light. Put it on his table and make him justify it.
All right. Well, folks, I want to say this. We're going into an election cycle. We got all these things, and we are concerned about, you know, national security. We're concerned about budgets. We're concerned about nuclear deals. I believe, truly, with the bottom of my heart, if we want God to bless America again, we have to stop killing babies first. And we need to do everything we can to stop it. From getting involved in this petition drive, calling your legislators and having them get involved in well, it's already passed the House. You may have to call Merkley and Wyden now on the Senate side, even though the Democrats, they need to hear from you.
They do.
They need to hear from you really strong.
They absolutely do, Perry. Just because we think, well, we just write them off, they need to hear. They need to know what their constituents, they represent us.
They need to hear from you. And I got to say to all pastors, please, get ready from March to July to do petition drives in your church. It's totally legal. And if you're uncomfortable with that or uncomfortable talking about it, either Bryan and I will come and speak to your congregation on behalf of it.
No, we're absolutely, Perry, and I think, you know, at our rally event in January, we'll speak to that again, and we'll talk more about that as the time approaches. But you know, we need to get past this reticence because of the tax issue, and we need to be able to confront the fact that, you know, according to statistics and polls, half of the people sitting in our congregations are complicit in the act of abortion in some fashion. We need to deal with that.
Well, I think we need to put courage ahead of convenience. So what if you lose your 501(c)(3) status? In fact, you know what? I have a book it was given to me the other day, and I had it on the set with me all day, how to protect yourself from 501c attacks.
You know what?
Legally.
Let's get rid of 501c3. As far as I'm concerned,
yeah.
let's put it on the table. Forget the tax exempt thing. Are we given because we want to get a tax write-off, or are we given because our heart says we need to?
Exactly.
I mean, come on.
It's time to be courageous. All right, today from 12 to 1, downtown.
Downtown corner of 8th and Central. We got plenty of signs. Look forward to there. It's going to be a glorious day. Bring your suntan lotion.
It's going to warm up to 65.
Makes it comfy as far as I'm concerned.
No, that's great. Okay, thank you, Brian.
You're welcome.
God bless you, pal. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Paulina, and I work at theDove TV. Did you know that when you support theDove TV, you have a profound impact, not only in our community, but around the world? It's your continued support that takes the inspiration and hope in the programs we produce and makes them available to the thousands of people who are watching these videos online every week. Help bring encouragement and hope to our valley and beyond by making a secure online donation today at our website, thedove.us.